Very good evening, friends. Meeting again in the session of Stuart Close Philosophy. And we have finished last time the first chapter, that is the psychological point of view. This chapter, the psychological point of view, looking towards the homeopathy, the positive aspects as well as the negative points in the field of homeopathy, all aspects he tried to explain over there in that chapter. And it is a boosting chapter for the neophytes so that they can think in a positive way to look towards the homeopathy. And that's why he has written the first chapter, the psychological point of view. And now he starts explaining about more scientific aspects of homeopathy in the second chapter. And that chapter's name is General Interpretation. And what he wants to explain over there, the general interpretation regarding the basic sciences and homeopathy. It is a correlation between two important sciences. It is correlation that the laws of homeopathy, it is nothing but the laws of homeopathy should go hand in hand with the laws of basic sciences. And if it is there, then and then it has scientific value. And Hahnemann have taken into consideration all those things, and that Stuart Close wants to highlight over there so that it will be a specific answer given to the people who blames the homeopathy as a placebo. And why it is not placebo and why it is a homeopathic medicine and most scientific system, he tries to explain in this specific chapter, the general interpretation. So this chapter, he has started or introduced the chapter by giving eight specific biological, eight specific laws of basic sciences, and thereafter explaining it in relation with the homeopathy, and because of which it is quite easy for us to understand, yes, homeopathy is most scientific system of medicine. So we'll start with the chapter number 2 from Stuart Close, the general interpretations. The philosophy of homeopathy rests upon the following general interpretations of the system of nature, which science universally recognizes as fundamental. So, whatever the eight laws which he writes over there, which are also called to be natural laws or which are also called to be laws of biological, laws of basic sciences, and those laws, how they are in correlation with homeopathy, that he tries to explain. The number one law is the laws and ways of nature are uniform and harmonious. So most important thing, the laws of and ways of nature, they are not two different entities. The things which happens to be there in the nature ultimately expressed in the form of laws, or laws are formed from the facts of the nature. And that's why they goes hand in hand. They are almost always harmonious. They are always uniform. And if it is there, then and then you can find it out that law has a nature's law. We have nature's law of cure in the 26th aphorism. This nature's law, why he called it as a nature's law? Because everywhere, wherever you will find the dynamics, you're going to find it out the same law applicable over there. And that's why the law which he has written, the weaker dynamic affection is permanently extinguished in the living organism by a stronger one, if latter, while differing in kind, is very similar to former in its manifestation. This law is you apply anywhere, wherever the dynamics are there. You can find it out the truth of it. And that's why this is called as nature's law. Everywhere in nature, you can apply that law. And that's why the first specific thing, the laws and ways of nature are uniform and harmonious. Number 2 point which he explains, effects follows causes in unbroken succession. See, effects follows the causes in unbroken succession. Whatever you are doing today because of some cause behind, and whatever you are going to do today is the cause of the tomorrow's action. This happens everywhere, day and night. The things happens like that. Why he is explaining this? He is explaining this law because the same thing which you have to take into consideration when dealing with the patient. We have to understand what are the causes behind the present condition and what are the causes behind that condition. So you have to go back to find it out, the past history, the family history, the miasm, everything, because unless and until we know those things, it is not possible to make ideal cure. So effects follows the causes in unbroken succession. That is the second law. The third, to every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. This is also called as Newton's third law of energy or Newton's third law of motion or law of reciprocal action. And these things happens everywhere. You react according to the action. The action and reactions are equal and opposite. And this law, throughout the life of the human being, we follow this. In the state of health, we follow the same. In the state of disease, we follow the same. In the state of cure, also we follow the same. This law, in fact, the whole homeopathy revolves around this law. The action and reactions are equal and opposite. Action and reactions, number four is action and reactions are ceaseless, equivalent, and reciprocal. They are ceaseless. Ceaseless means it is right from the birth till you die. There is continuous action of n number of things on you, and you are reacting to that. The first cry after the birth, it has started right from that. In fact, it has started inside the womb when the soul enters or when the vital principle enters in that fertilized womb. And the reaction started right from that actually, but we know it when it comes out. That's why we say that right from the birth till death, and there are a number of things happening, and to every action there is a reaction, and on the basis of which it either maintains health, either it becomes disease, either it becomes, if it is disease, then it becomes cured. The number five, motion is ceaseless and transformation continues. See, this is what happens in human life. He is not an entity, it is not a matter which will going to remain stable. It will you are being a human being or being a living thing, you are continuously in motion. You are moving. And because of which, as you are moving continuously, the motion is ceaseless, and because of which there is a transformation. You are not same as you are there in the childhood. There are a number of changes happen in your personality right from childhood till today, because transformation is the rule. And you will not going to remain same what you are there today. After 4 5 years, you are again changed. That are transformation happen. What is that change that you have to catch? So you have to understand what is that specific change. If you are able to catch that, yes, definitely we can understand the human being, you can understand the individuality. Number six is matter is indestructible and infinitely divisible. This specific law is Hahnemann have applied specifically for the potentization. He has utilized this law and he has created the potencies, the two methods, the trituration and succussion. For the solid substances, it is trituration, and for liquid substances, it is succussion. So this specific law of physics he has utilized, and because of which whatever potency we prepare, ultimately it contains part and parcel of that physical substance, even though it is invisible to human naked eye, and even it is invisible to any specific scientific test. But it is there. This is what the physical science is. And if it is so, then how can you deny? Then how can you say it is a placebo? If the physics is saying that the matter is indestructible and infinitely divisible, so you have reached to the CM potency or DM potency or MM potency, even though you have reached, if you go beyond that, matter is still there. So you cannot deny on the basis of that. And then he further says, in the seventh, force is persistent and indestructible. So the another further force after the vital principle which is enters over there, which creates an energy, the force develops over there and the life continues. And this vital force is indestructible and infinitely divisible and indestructible and persistent. So it is persistent till it is there, everything is fine. You are active, you are in motion, you can, there is a growth, there is a development, there is a reproduction. All these laws are the laws of physics, they are the laws of chemistry, they are the laws of biology, they are not laws of homeopathy. But they goes hand in hand with the laws of homeopathy, the cardinal principle of homeopathy. And last point, which is very, very essential, where he explains uh, the principle of minimum dose. That is, the quantity of action necessary to effect any change in the nature is least possible. This is called as law of least action from the physics. The quantity of the action necessary to effect any change in the nature is least possible. Hahnemann have utilized this law, and he has prepared the principle of minimum dose. So quantity, how we define the principle of minimum dose? The dose should be so minimum so as to arouse the vitality in the deceased human being. This law is based upon the law of physics. So how can you deny the laws of homeopathy, which are based upon the laws of biology, laws of physics, laws of chemistry? If they are based upon the nature's laws, then how can you say that it is a placebo? So to explain the scientificity of homeopathy, he has started the chapter with these 8 laws, and now he starts explaining about its relation. The following propositions, slightly modified from the original, are drawn from one Gravwall's textbook of homeopathy. So there are many things which he has taken from the one Gravwall. One Gravwall was a very important, good homeopath, in fact, who has explained the 3 constitutions, which are labeled by the name of Gravwall's constitution. Which are 3 Gravwall's constitution? The first is carbonitrogenide, leading to nothing but, or it's very similar to the Sora. Second is the hydrogenide, which is very close to the psychotic. And third is oxygenide, which is very close related with the syphilitic method. These are basic 3 constitutions I've explained in detail by von Gravois. He was the first one, and that's why they are labeled by the Gravwall's constitution. He was a very studied man, and from his literature, from his book, he has taken into consideration the following propositions. What he says over there, the aim of all science is to set up in place of the contingent that which law makes necessary, and to refer every particular to its universal. So, whenever there are any laws, specifically when we talk about homeopathy, we have 7 cardinal principles. Those 7 cardinal principles should have a correlation with the laws of basic science. If they are there, then definitely your science has a scientific value. This is what the science says, and our all principles are specifically related to that. These 2 predicates connect the science with the things, and because of which it is possible to connect the science with the thing. We must hold fast intellectually to the useful things which the past has produced. See, now this paragraph we have to understand. The first sentence, what he says, we must hold fast intellectually, the word which he has used, intellectually, to the useful things which the past has produced. Past has produced certain specific things, they have done certain work, but it doesn't mean that whatever the past has produced is everything is correct. It doesn't mean that everything is truth what past has produced. What Hahnemann was doing right from 1790 till his death was experimenting. He was developing his science. And that's why he reached from first edition of Organon to the sixth edition of Organon during this progress. But the progress of homeopathy was stopped over there because because we are dependent upon whatever the past has produced and we don't want to go forward. The word which he has used is very important. We must hold fast intellectually. We are not using our intellect. We are still based upon that. We must gain space in time, but the living space. What it means? This sentence has a lot of meaning. We must gain the space in time, but living space means we must think. We must utilize our knowledge. We must think intellectually. We must correlate our homeopathy with the basic sciences. We must correlate the disorders, the pathologies with the miasms. We must correlate the pathologies with the disease, with the remedies. We must know why this remedy has that specific depth. The therapeutic aspect is missing in our study a lot because we have not studied the remedies with that angle. We have made one way study. We are not thinking with the no, the way the modern science is thinking. And that's why he has utilized this specific sentence that has a lot of meaning. We must gain space in time, but the living space where we must think about all those things. Not by empiric accumulation of the facts perceived, the facts of perception, but by their weight appreciation. According to the eternal laws of nature, is their existence secured for all the time? It is not just what is happening over there in the or on only on the facts, but we must able to correlate it with the science. We must show to the world, yes, this is how the homeopathic science is there. We must have its correlation with these, then it has a secured place in the field of medicine. Otherwise, it is not. Till we use the word dynamic only, we never get that appreciation which actually we should get. Because people's language of the peoples or language of layman or language of the doctors from other pathies is a different. They are using the language which is called to be a say modern, and if we are not talking with their long language, how can they accept you? And that's why we have to think. That's why we have the very specifically mentioned that we must have the living space. Facts which this criteria rejects are worthless scientifically. And if you are not showing your presence with recent criteria, your science becomes worthless. And that's why it is at high time now to go ahead with the modern science and explain to them the relationship of the homeopathy with the modern basic sciences. And then your seat in the field of medicine will be secured. And that's then he says, hence in homeopathy, we strive म्हणजे झगडणं, struggle. We strive not only to separate the contingency from the event, that is, to determine the causal succession from which has taken place, but also to become master of the contingency, which make our judgment uncertain. The contingency means akasmit ghost. The contingency of our judgment of the facts arrived at experimentally by process of analysis must be removed synthetically by connecting the laws of nature with the facts so that we may be able to show their interdependence and act accordingly. In this synthesis or connecting of our perceptions conducted simultaneously with experimentation consists the art of observation. So whatever is there in the field of homeopathy, that you have to show to the world, that you have to show to the world in relation with the sciences. Then you have to explain everything. You have to explain every fact with the help of science. You have to explain your observations and you have to show your analysis. Yeah, the basic sciences, those people will not accept if you will talk with them in the similar language. So we have to show, yes, this much data is there with us. We have treated so and so case. Then we have done a control trial. Then with control and with actual medicine, what are the differences which we have observed? And this is the result. In 90% of cases, we have got the success. Then people will understand. This is the language of the modern science. This is the language of the research methodology. And that's why it has included in your syllabus the research methodology when you do the PG. Because we have to go ahead with the modern science. And these are things which are very, very essential. The last word or last three words which he has utilized, it's art of observation. This is a short note. If there are any students, just write over there the art of observation. What is an art of observation? Or what is a keen observation? What is a real observation? The observation which has a thought behind it, which has a thought of why, which is the thought of logic, which has a thought of reasoning, then that observation has a meaning. For example, Newton was lying over there, and all of a sudden there was a falling apple. The thought which generated in his mind after looking towards that falling apple, that why it is falling down, why has developed in his mind. That observation has the meaning, because of which he has considered the because of which that observation he has concluded there must be something which because of which it is getting attracted to the earth, it is not going up. Then he has started thinking about it. So see, first there was the exact observation, followed by correct interpretation of it. He has interpreted it in right manner, that there must be some power which attracts that below. When he started thinking in that direction, then he has experienced it with n number of things, and everywhere he found the truth that it is coming down, it is not going up. Then he understood, yes, there is law of gravitation. So it has followed Lord Bacon's four criteria: exact observation, correct interpretation, scientific construction, and rationally last is the rational explanation of the thing. So this is called as exact observation. This is what called as art of observation. When you deal with the patients, you have to develop that specific art. You have to understand. You have to correlate. You have to think. What is the reason that you have to think a lot? So see, this chapter will guide you to explain many, many, many things. The art of observation is the thing which you have to develop in yourself. That will guide you, and that will develop in you the scientific basis of homeopathy. Then you will start thinking behind everything, what is the science or where is the science? And if it develops, then you are able to confidently say to the people, yes, this is my system of medicine, which is most scientific system of medicine. So we'll stop over here, and tomorrow we'll continue with the further paragraph. So we'll meet today again in the evening with one more important remedy from the fourth year syllabus, and that is carboanimelis from the Allen's keynote. So we'll going to learn very, very, very useful remedy carboanimelis in today's session at 8:15. Be there. We'll meet again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
Good evening.